Hello, everybody. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, and everything in between. It is I, Jonathan the Slow, live and in the flesh, coming to you from my disaster zone of a bedroom, which is currently in the midst of getting cleaned when I'm not working on other shit around the house. Since I have 5 hours of work this week. I know, great hours. That's why I'm leaving my Culver's job. Speaking of, leaving Culver's special coming soon to internet accessing devices near coming soon to internet accessing devices near you. There we go. Got it out. And my chair is rocking. But anyways, as you can see, I'm not wearing my glasses right now. I just don't want the glare from my lamps that are keeping me nice and illuminated to make me look like a fucking nerdy anime character. Like, the one dude from Pokemon X and Y who's like, the future is now, thanks to science. I love that. That is peak Pokemon show. And that is a fact. But anyways, today's video is about Warhammer 40,000 and why I love it. Now, if you know anything about me, you've probably heard me babbling about Warhammer or my tiny plastic men and how much I fucking love it. All of my paychecks, pretty much, at least half of it goes to Warhammer-related things. There's Warhammer stuff all over my room. That sign, Warhammer related. That poster, 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 Warhammer related. And there's another one right above this one that you can't see. And there are two more over there. Bop, bop. And then a drawing that my brother did years ago up there. That's also about Warhammer. Hell, my desk is my Warhammer hobby area that is just filled with Warhammer related shit. You know, you can see all sorts of my miniatures and random projects that I'm working on at the moment. But anyways, my history and journey with Warhammer goes back to when I was 8 or 9, not sure which one it was, because I have horrible memory, but this is one of the few things that I do remember. So, I was looking for the ultimate guide to G.I. Joe, which had, like, all the toys from the 80s, like the original G.I. Joe 80s toy line. And I think some of the 90s stuff, too. And G.I. Joe is another one of the things that I really love. Not to the same nowhere near to the same extent as Warhammer. In fact, it's third fiddle, with Transformers being second fiddle to my Warhammer. Hell, wrong way. That little yellow spot right there, that is a Transformer that I bought the other day while at Walmart with my friends. I have poor impulse control, don't judge me. But anyways, I digress. Where was I? Yes. So anyways, I was looking for that Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe book all over the house. Couldn't find it. I was distraught. My dad saw this, and while he may not be the greatest father, he's a pretty good one. At times, when he's not being a total aspie and just not communicating and not showing any emotion. But anyways, he sees that I'm distraught. He comes up to me and tells me to wait where I was for a second and that he has something to show me. He goes down into the basement, grabs an old 2nd edition, which is the edition of the Warhammer 40,000 tabletop game that came out in the early 90s, and how my dad got into it. The codex for the Angels of Death, which is Blood Angels and Dark Angels, for those of you who are familiar with Warhammer. but it's one of the armies within the, well, used to be its own faction, but now they have their own sub-faction books instead of one combined one. Dark Angels have their own book, the Blood Angels have their own book. Hell, I think I have the current, well, actually technically outdated now. Dark Angels book is somewhere relatively near the top of the mess that is my room. But anyways, and he brought up one of the miniatures, a old 2nd edition Blood Angels chaplain, which I'd show you a picture, but I have no idea how to do anything with editing, and I'm not going to put in the effort. I will try and find a picture of the model in that codex and link those in the description. Or maybe I'll post them on some sort of social media and then put a link to that post, something like that. But anyways, my dad comes back up from the basement with those two things. Hands me the codex, which is the army book, has a whole bunch of background about the army, pictures of the army, and the rules for it, but I was more enthralled with the pictures and the background. And he gives that to me, and he shows me this miniature, and he kind of gives me a rundown. This is Warhammer 40,000. It's a game that I used to play back when I was in college. It's got a lot of background, and I think you'd like it. And he was right. I did like it. Now, my dad was very much a Warhammer nerd back in the day. He had most of the armies. And he asked me what army I wanted to get into after he showed me all of the codexes at a later date. And I, of course, chose one of the two armies that he did not have. I chose the Eldar, which are space elves, as the name kind of suggests. And that was like one of the three armies, actually, that he did not collect. And he was always, he was annoyed that he had to get me one of the few armies that he didn't have, but he didn't say no to me. I think he was just happy that I was showing interest in something that he had loved for so long. But anyways, he bought me a starting army. He gave me the book to use, and then he got a bunch of building blocks, brought out one of his old armies, cracked out all the rules and stuff for 2nd edition, and we played a game. Me wearing a white undershirt and a pair of underwear, and him, I don't remember what he was wearing. But we played my first ever game, which was a game of 2nd edition, which is a much more complex version of Warhammer 40,000 compared to what we have today, which is already a pretty complex game. But I had a fucking blast. Thanks to me being in danger of sounding like an arrogant prick, a total fucking genius, I managed to catch on to the rules, which a lot of adults would struggle to learn. And I fell head over heels. And soon after starting collecting Eldar, I got very into orcs, which are, fantasy orcs in space, but they're green and they're angry mushrooms. When we went into a gaming store, when on a camping trip, my dad took me to a gaming store, and I saw that they had a little orc army, and I convinced my dad to buy it for me. Or maybe I bought it with my allowance, one or the other. And then orcs became my next army, and my dad had to... Yet again, I chose one of the armies that he didn't have. But, a few years pass, and the 8th edition of Warhammer 40,000 is announced. Now, I had only played 2nd edition of Warhammer before that point, and I think at this point I was taking a bit of a break from Warhammer, was more focused on Transformers, which, if you want to see Transformers, or fuck it. There are some of the massive ones that I have. Like, each one's about 18 inches tall. And that's not even all the big ones that I have. Got another one that's technically 6 smaller ones that transform into a very big boy. But once again, I digress. But that got me back into Warhammer. That's when Primaris Marines were announced, and they're controversial. I'm not going to get into all the lore specifics and all the controversy. I'm just going to give a rundown on Warhammer in this video and of why I love it. They came out with the new edition. I pre-ordered the starter box, which came with 2 armies. One was Space Marines. The other one was a faction of Chaos Space Marines, which are like Space Marines that worship the forces of hell. These ones worship the god of decay and disease and stuff like that, Nurgle. And I'm gonna be honest, although for a while I was super into Space Marines, I haven't been as into normal Space Marines for a while, but I am into Chaos Space Marines, and more specifically Horus Heresy. But anyways, I got super into Warhammer. I started playing, the current edition. I made friends in our area because we have a very active Warhammer community in the area that I live, and I'm super thankful for that. And anyways, I also, around this time, got things like Instagram, and I made up, since I had always loved the lore of Warhammer so much, and I created my own, what is called a homebrew chapter of Space Marines, which is one that you make yourself instead of using one of the pre-established ones in the vast lore of Warhammer 40,000. They were called the Roaring Phoenixes, and I made an Instagram account, and this is going to sound cringy as all hell because it is, but I made a lot of friends on there, and we would roleplay as our characters. And let me tell you, I did some cringe shit back then. Roaring Phoenixes, they have been left behind. They are a thing of the past, but I still talk pretty much daily with a lot of the friends that I made through that Instagram roleplay stuff, and then through the Discord server that we started after we got sick of doing it on Instagram. And yeah, that's where pretty much all of my internet friends are from, that server. And I don't think any of them are watching this, because I don't really talk about my YouTube channel on there, but shout out to Jack, aka Malexis, Inakar, Marcos, aka Malikos, Jaren, love you as well. Who else? Matthew, aka Martius, I think, 95% sure. Then again, I am slightly mentally challenged, so don't get mad at me. And all the other, and Gaius, and Nephthys, Digby. Love all you guys. You're all great friends, and I'm so glad that I have you guys in my life, even if it is over a phone screen. And a good chunk of you live on separate continents. But anyways, and yeah, I from there got more and more into Warhammer. 9th edition rolled around, got right into that. I've collected more armies. In fact, I've had more armies than I haven't had that exist in the Warhammer lore. Although my main ones are Iron Warriors and Night Lords and things linked to that. And I'm still a homebrew enthusiast. I have my own unique war bands, which are smaller groups. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of a rundown of how I got into Warhammer. And I have met so many fantastic people through this hobby. And honestly, anyone who's watching this, I suggest just looking up Warhammer, watching a video or two that gives you a rundown on it, and just checking it out. And if you don't like the lore, check out the miniatures. They're expensive as fuck, but if you know me in real life and talk to me, I can probably hook you up with a couple of miniatures and then set up a day that we could hang out, paint, and hopefully I can convince you to try playing a game of Warhammer, and then try very hard to get you to delve deeper into the lore, maybe by giving you one of the wealth of books. A good chunk of the books on that bookshelf behind me are Warhammer books. Oh, I've got one right here. That purple-backed one right there is a Warhammer book that I'm currently reading. But anyways, the community is so fucking great. I've met so many people both online and in real life who are going to be friends for such a long time. You know, it's a nerdy hobby for sure. I mean, you sit in wherever, be it a hobby store or your bedroom, or I've done it in my camper. You can do it pretty much anywhere. And you paint tiny plastic men, like this guy, Warsmith Derek Reyes, leader of the 76 Grand Battalion of the Iron Warriors. But, anyways, you know, and I've gone to so many things. Adepticon, which is a huge event that takes place in Schaumburg, Illinois, every year. I've been going there with my dad for like years now. We've been going every year since I first got into Warhammer, with the exception of the 2 years that it wasn't held because of COVID. And more recently, with the launch of the second edition of Horus Heresy, I've gotten into that and met some cool people from the Taking of Fearix narrative event series, which I've delved into. I've inserted my characters into the lore of that. I've played my part, met a bunch of really cool guys. I'll probably be posting this in the server for the Taking of Fearix. Those of you who I've played and love playing against, you know who you are. Some people off the top of my head: Cody, you're awesome. Chris, you were awesome. I loved stomping that armored spearhead of yours. Lucas, Eric, you two are both miracle workers, and you guys are just incredible at putting this together and running great events. So thank you a lot to you. But anyways, now it's time to get into why should you get into Warhammer? Because I've talked about why it's important to me. I mean, I've got so many friends. It gives me an... Oh, actually, I'm backing up a bit. I'm going to go back into why I love it. So, I am not shy about the fact that I am severely mentally ill. I have battled mental illness for years now, and I have been through shit. It's a big chunk of why I want to become a police officer, and more specifically a part of the Appleton Police Department's mental health response unit, because I want to help other people who are going through mental health crises, because I know what it's like. And one of the things that has gotten me through deep bouts of depression time and time again is Warhammer, this wonderful hobby, all the great people within it, and, you know, just sitting down and building and painting miniatures and making these stories in my head and writing it down on a very rare occasion when I decide that I actually want to put in the effort to get it from up here onto a digital space where it will be preserved. And yeah, I have gone through some dark times, and one of the things that has kept me around is Warhammer. Like, legitimately, I'm not even kidding. There have been times where I've contemplated suicide, but I've decided not to, because then what would happen to my Warhammer stuff? I mean, that's never the only factor. It's also, I don't want to make my family have to go through that, and make my friends have to go through that. But a significant contributing factor is my love of Warhammer, and I know that's kind of pathetic probably, but I don't give a fuck. But yeah, there's something just so rewarding about building and painting these tiny plastic men. I mean, I put these guys together on a regular basis. I've devoted a good chunk of my room to it. I mean, oh my lord. I've got sprues all over the room. I've got half-built and fully built miniatures, half-painted, unpainted, fully painted miniatures. All sorts of Warhammer-related shit just scattered all around me. But anyways, now to get into why you should get into Warhammer. Well, to start off, there's a little bit of something for pretty much everyone. When it comes to the more artistic side, you know, there's all of the building and painting of the miniatures. I mean, I put this guy together, and his base model does not look much of anything like this. You know, I changed out a lot of parts using bits from different kits, and I painted him myself, you know, with my own 2 hands and a paintbrush. And some paints, obviously. And that is a very fulfilling thing for a lot of people who are more artistic, or even people who just need an outlet. Like, I kind of forced myself to get into the painting part of the hobby, but once I did, I've loved it ever since. And building miniatures is just such a great outlet for my creativity. Like, I can come up with just about everything. Anything. You know, I can turn something like this into... what's a good example? Something like... something like this. Obviously different models as bases, but same general idea. You know, you can, just with a bit of extra effort, create such beautiful things. Second thing is, there's so much artwork and, like, 35 years now of background to explore. There's so much room in the universe for you to create your own things. You know, I've created my own empires within the Warhammer universe. Created dozens and dozens of characters, all with their own unique personalities, backstories, flaws, equipment. You know, not to mention the actual game itself. I mean, it's a lot of fun, especially if you like something like Dungeons and Dragons, where you're controlling one character, except instead of controlling one character, you're controlling an entire army, and they're fighting it out on the battlefield with you at the helm. You know, you can play as these characters. There's so many awesome video games, too, and so many fucking novels. Some of the best books I've read in my life are Warhammer related. But I think the best part of Warhammer is the community. There are so many awesome people involved in Warhammer, and so many people that I have considered to be some of my closest friends, and who I will consider to be among my closest friends for the rest of my life. I'm getting a little bit emotional here, but, like, I have met people who I never would have brushed shoulders with. People who I will share my darkest moments with. You know, people who I can go to when I'm going through a tough time. People who I can vent to. People who are there to support me. Because around the Warhammer hobby, there is a real community. One of the most accepting and loving and kind and welcoming communities that I have ever had the pleasure of being involved with. There are so many awesome people out there. So many people who, when you're getting started in Warhammer, will go head over heel to help you out, help you get involved, because pretty much everyone who is involved in Warhammer is so passionate about the hobby, because every miniature that you build and paint, you put a little bit of your soul into it. You know, every single character that you come up with, it's a bit of your heart and soul. It's a hobby that takes a lot of time and effort and money to invest all the way into it. And I know that for pretty much any Warhammer fan out there, anybody who shows even a modicum of interest is a blessing. You know, it's not like Marvel movies where everyone and their mother has at least seen one of them. It's much more niche community, a growing community, and it's getting to be mainstream. I mean, you have things like Rick and Morty and South Park parodying it. And you have A-list celebrities like Henry Cavill, who played Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher and played Superman in the, as of this video, most recent DC film universe, who are also fans. And if you go into your local hobby store and walk in and just ask someone, and you're like, hey, who is into Warhammer, if you see them playing with tiny plastic men that look anything like this, chances are they're playing Warhammer, and you just ask them, hey, I'm interested in Warhammer, could you, and I don't know where to get started, could you help me out, or could you tell me more about it, or even, could I just watch you play? They would be glad to have you. There have been so many people who have been so helpful in my Warhammer journey. And I feel like I speak for every single member of the Warhammer community when I say that we would love to have you, no matter who you are, no matter what race you are, what you identify as, you know, what your background is, whether you're rich, poor, middle class, an alien from Mars. No matter who you are, the hobby space is just so welcoming and open to, like, anyone will welcome you with open arms if you express an interest in the hobby. And I mean, I feel like that's a beautiful thing, something that you don't see much. And like nowadays, there's more division and hatred in the world than ever before. But this Warhammer community, this Warhammer hobby offers an escape and a community where you can get away from all of that. You'll find unity. You'll find a sense of family. And through just playing games of battle with tiny plastic men, you'll be able to create lifelong friendships that will follow you for the rest of your life. But anyways, that's about it. I've rambled on for nearly 30 minutes now. But yeah, I highly suggest everyone here check out Warhammer. You know, see if it's something that you'd like. You know, check out all different facets of it. I mean, if you know me, hit me up if you know me, or hit me up in general if you're interested in the hobby, and I will gladly help you get into it. Or even just go onto the Games Workshop website, which is Games-Workshop, or just search up Games Workshop on Google. It'll be one of the first results, Games Workshop, and then you can go to the store finder, find a retailer near you. If it's Warhammer specifically that you're looking at, it's probably better to go to a Warhammer store because their staff will 100% specialize in Warhammer. But pretty much any retailer that carries Warhammer, somebody there will have at least some knowledge about it. Just ask, hey, I have heard about Warhammer and I want to try it out. And someone will definitely be there to help you out. But anyways, that's about all I have to say. Thank you for watching, to those of you who are watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'm hoping to slowly grow this channel, you know, maybe make it a bit of a side hustle, get some money to further fuel my Warhammer habits. Again, I have no shame. But yeah, and to my subscribers and viewers, you guys all rock. Yeah, I'll sometime soon edit my descriptions to include things like my Twitter, my Instagram, which I don't really use, and my Discord, and, you know, you can always message me. I might start a Discord server eventually if I actually get more than, like, 10 subscribers. But, yeah, thanks again for watching, and that's about it. And sorry for a bit of a change of pace with this video, but I don't know, I just felt like something that I needed to do, and this is my YouTube channel, so I get to do whatever the fuck I want. Thank you very much. But anyways, that's about it, and bye. And no, you're important. God, that's cheesy as hell fuck. Just get the fuck out of here. Bye.